Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Orange County School Board's work session, which has been scheduled for today, Tuesday, November 14th, 2023, for the purpose of discussing the application for Olympus Academy Charter Orlando. Is that still accurate? Okay, thank you. The public will not have an opportunity to participate in this work session to provide public comment because this is not a regularly scheduled school board meeting and no action will be taken, and there will be no pre-agenda period in which the public would normally address the school board on relevant topics that are related to the work of the board. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, early afternoon. All board members are attending in person. Our vice chair will be back momentarily. I want to remind the public that might be viewing us at this point in time that during our meeting we won't be engaging in electronic or digital communication. So if you are trying to reach us, you won't hear back from us during the meeting. To my fellow board members, district staff, speak directly into the microphone. I think the board members are kind of getting used to it. For those of you who haven't sat here, when I say speak directly into the microphone, I mean if your lips are not practically touching the microphone, we probably won't hear you. So so get close. And if I have to, I'll remind you. And thank you all so much for the hard work you do every day. Thank you for being here today, and we look forward to hearing from you. With that, we're going to start with a moment of silence and then the Pledge of Allegiance. And now for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Dr. Vasquez, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This afternoon, we will be hearing about a charter application. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Greg Moody, who oversees the Office of School Choice, and will give us some background on this application.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent, Madam Chair, board members. It's my pleasure to introduce to you our dynamic charter school team in School Choice. And we have with us today Kia Scott, Gina Dole, and Margaret Olmo. And I'll ask Kia Scott to come up and tee us off for this afternoon and introduce the charter board. Kia?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm just going to give you a little background about the process we have with the charter application review. Okay. Before you this morning are the board member and potential principal, or named principal for Olympus Academy Orlando. On September 22nd, a high-performing replication application was submitted to our office. As you know, there's a 90-day review period for charter school applications. On October 19th, we did hold a capacity interview with the board. That is not a requirement in statute, but it's a practice we've been doing since I've been here and probably beforehand to make sure that we have an idea that the actual applicants are aware of charter school statutes, how to run a school, and finances to make sure that it would be viable. Olympus Academy intends to have a K-8 charter school with a projected enrollment of 502 students over a 5-year period. Their mission is inspiring compassion, nurturing curiosity. Our proposed charter school in Orlando, Florida is dedicated to cultivating a dynamic educational environment where students in grades K-8 embark on a transformative journey of humane sciences exploration. Our mission is to instill a profound sense of empathy, ethical awareness, and global responsibility in each student. Through an innovative curriculum that seamlessly integrates humane sciences with traditional subjects, we aim to empower future leaders who embrace diversity, practice compassion, drive change both locally and globally. Okay. I would like to introduce to you the board of Olympus Academy. So we have Derica Flagg, Jalissa Bermudez, Kim Johnson, Marty Canetti, Alyssa Rizzo, and Gus Prats. They were going to begin with you. They have a presentation for you, and after that, then we have a few questions for them, and then if you have any questions, we will move forward with that. Thank you.
Good morning. I hope this is close enough. Again, good morning. My name is Derica Flagg. I am a board member specializing in curriculum and instruction. We have a brief presentation that we prepared for you all today, along with a virtual walkthrough of our school Summit Academy in Broward County. So I hope you all enjoy. Please feel free to jump in at any time if you all have any questions. The first slide just basically reviews what Dr. Scott mentioned about our mission. Our mission is very important to us in terms of ensuring that we are empowering future leaders. And we definitely want to ensure that we are offering a program to the Orange County area that embraces diversity and practices compassion and drives positive change within our youth. The school's mission is aligned specifically with the students that we intend to service. Again, as mentioned before, some of our key components within our mission include servicing students with diverse backgrounds and ensuring that those students are receiving education that allows them to, become better within their character. Another emphasis that we would like to offer is the empathy and compassion, along with being committed to ethical decision-making, global awareness, and environmental consciousness. This picture just pictures the building that we are looking to occupy, and a few of the demographics in the area. As mentioned before, our enrollment projection is about 502 students by our 5th year. This is a model that we have been able to implement within our Broward County location. So those projections are similar to what we've been able to do at that school site. Just going back to the replication of that high performance school. In this slide, it's depicting a bit of our school data. Our first year of opening was our COVID year. So in that year, our school rating was a grade of a C. In 2022, when we got our babies back in brick and mortar, we were able to make great gains with our lowest quartile and also our students in civics. Our 7th graders did a phenomenal job with 93% of them scoring at proficiency for that civic end of the year assessment. And we were extremely happy with the math gains that we were able to obtain as well, again, focusing in on our lowest quartile and ensuring that our students made gains. At Summit Academy, we definitely believe in engaging our community, our parents, our students. So in a few of the pictures that are pictured here, you can see the different events that are held. We do different activities within the community. And those are the key components that we feel have contributed to our high performance, in addition to high quality instruction, ensuring that we bridge the gap between at home and in the community with our parents and our students. Those are key components that have been successful for our current model. Now I'd like to take you on a bit of a virtual tour of Summit Academy. I believe Dr. Scott and a few other members were able to come down and take a look at Summit. So we kind of want to bring Summit to you guys in a way.
to Summit Academy Charter School's Virtual Open House. Charter schools are public, not-for-profit schools which allow us the freedom to be more innovative while also being tuition-free and open to every student who wishes to enroll, non-sectarian and not able to discriminate on any basis, publicly funded by local, state, and federal tax dollars based on enrollment, held accountable to state and federal academic standards. Summit Academy is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We serve grades kindergarten through 8th. We boast a number of 290 students for the first year and plan to expand to 640 maximum students within a 5-year span. Summit Academy was founded because there was a need for a safe and secure, high-performing K-8 school in Coral Springs. There was a need for a school that provides a family atmosphere where every child receives prescriptive instruction. There was also a need for a school that provides community events and extracurricular activities. Here at Summit Academy, we believe that an education is more than the teaching of the core subjects. A school, well connected with the home and the community, is a place for students to grow academically, socially, emotionally, and physically. Summit Academy Charter School offers a rigorous and high-quality education that focuses on class, character, leadership, academics, service, sportsmanship. The school's philosophy is that without these components, students are unable to achieve their maximum learning potential. Summit Academy Charter offers an innovative, research-based program that includes no excessive homework, no long-term projects sent home, extended instructional time, a rigorous curriculum, a strong arts, music, health, and foreign language program, parental involvement, social skills and anti-bullying policy, individualized student learning profiles, positive behavior plans, and free homework help and tutoring. We want you as involved as you can be. Our rigorous curriculum includes 90 minutes daily for both math and reading instruction, 60 minutes daily for both science and social studies instruction, 45 minutes of weekly science labs, 45 minutes of weekly library time, 120 minutes of weekly computer lab time, curriculum aligned with Florida standards, ability grouping for math and reading, and differentiated instructional strategies, both intensive and enrichment. Our social skills education research has continually suggested that when schools help students gain a moral compass and form good habits, schools have a greater academic achievement and a better school climate. Our student learning profiles will be created for each student and will set, track, and analyze student data and goals. They are created upon enrollment and updated regularly. Teachers and staff create goals based on standardized tests, initial and final assessments, social and developmental skills, portfolios, IEPs, ELLs, ESC data, if applicable. Here at Summit Academy, we believe that teachers are the most important aspect of a child's education. We have a rigorous selection process and are offering attractive incentives. As for our teachers, the majority of our classroom teachers have advanced degrees and most have additional special education, reading, and/or ESOL endorsements. Our extracurricular activities include, and are ever-growing, student council, honor society, yearbook, art club, music club, poetry club, environmental, safety patrol, robotics, basketball, soccer, flag football, volleyball, cross-country, dance, and martial arts. Enrolling in Summit Academy requires a registration packet, immunization form, physical exam form, proof of age, which can be a birth certificate or passport, primary proof of address, a secondary proof of address, and a report card as proof of promotion. As for our general school information, polos are red and teal, khaki bottoms, closed-toed shoes. For transportation, please complete the transportation request form. As for lunch, it is provided daily, through school, for purchase, or free and reduced pricing. You can also bring lunch from home. As for our drop-off and pickup, no earlier than 7:30 a.m. and no later than 3:40 p.m. Before care is between 7 a.m. and 7:30 a.m. Our aftercare is available until 6 p.m. If you have any questions, please feel free to pass by, call us at the number, or check our website. Thank you so much for taking this virtual tour with Summit Academy Charter School, and we very much look forward to seeing you next academic year.
Again, we did some demographic research in the area that we anticipate servicing, and just taking a look at the students in the schools in the surrounding areas. A lot of the demographics looks very similar to what we currently serve, the students and families that we currently serve in Broward County. So we just wanted to ensure that we presented to that presented that to you all this evening as well. And again, ending with our vision statement, just reiterating our mission in terms of what we hope to bring to the students here in Orange County.
Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, that concludes the presentation.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
As Ms. Flagg mentioned, usually we do not have the opportunity to, we don't have many replication applications, but we found out that we were able to go down and visit. So we did take a look, we wanted to do due diligence to make sure that the program was actually being replicated. And I'm going to say it was a very nice visit. So what we did is we had some questions that we wanted to ask so that you could, hear responses that weren't necessarily reflected in that application. All right? So first question, I'm not sure who's going to take it. What do you attribute to the success of the current school's educational program?
All right, close enough?
Yes,
All right,
thank
great. I'll use my teacher voice. I'm actually also the principal right now. My name is Gus Pratt. I'm the principal down at Summit Academy. I will be moving up to Orange County, so I will be the principal at Olympus. And so I've been the principal there since its inception. And I think bringing something different, something dynamic, that also references the schools that we went to when we were younger, right? And bringing some of these old school values back into the classroom and back into the school, and bringing that sense of community, involving all shareholders within the area, partnerships, and truly focusing on the students and the student needs. I think it's been a huge drive to success for us. I think when a parent gets notified early on in the school year, September, October, that maybe there's an area of struggle with a student, I think it's so well received as opposed to getting that call in like April or May. So I think we were big on progress monitoring before it was state mandated at this level. We were big on that to begin with. And I think as long as you involve the parents and the community early on, all the steps within your academic success, both academic and socially, become highlighted through the community and through the families that attend Summit.
Well, thank you. Please talk about the presence of data walls in each classroom. When you walk those classrooms, you see data in every single classroom. So that was something that we really focused on. So can someone explain the rationale behind that?
Hi, I'm Kim Johnson. I'm a board member and currently a teacher there. Gifted and endorsed and ESOL endorsed and nationally board certified for 25 years. And we are big on data. We love to have our data. As she said, it's displayed in every classroom confidentially, sometimes with numbers. For some of the middle school classes, randomized so that they can't figure out who's alphabetical order. And reading and math are both tracked so that the students can see the ups and the downs. They can see where they're having difficulty. They can pinpoint it even at an early age and even in kindergarten. The teachers use that data to do our fluid small groups, to transition children. Now they're doing much better. We take them out of that group. Now we call another group based on the data that we have. I'm trying to think, did I leave anything out? But both the students and the teachers use the data on a consistent basis.
Thank you. Could you talk about the demographics at your current location, male, female, race, free and reduced lunch?
Okay. Okay, can you hear me well? Yes. Okay, my name is Elisa Rizzo. I'm a licensed mental health counselor and a school counselor and ESC coordinator at Summit Academy. So our current population is divided as such: 47% male, 52% female, 53% Hispanic, 21% Black, 15% white, 5% Asian, and 0.6 Native American. There is a multi-category as well. It's 4.2%. There was some
Free and reduced lunch?
okay. 42% of the population currently participate in the free and reduced program.
What methods do you have in place to support non-proficient students, ELL or ESE students?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Jaleesa Bermudez. I am the ESOL specialist on campus, and I'm a founding board member for Olympus Academy. So we have a whole method in place. First, we have to identify our ESOL students. That begins at the very beginning of the school year with registration. We all go through, well, the ladies in the front go through the registration forms with me, and we are able to identify our ESOL students. We put them through the process of taking the IDEAS proficiency test, the IPT. And if they qualify, then we go ahead and we have the IMT, put the information into terms. We go through the whole process. And once they are ESOL and they have the title ESOL, then we support them by putting accommodations in place, flexibility of schedule, flexibility of seating. They are offered dictionaries, translations in native language. Most of our population is Hispanic. And we have dictionaries, and for the younger kids, we have glossaries, so they can look at the pictures and better identify what they're trying to get across to their teachers, to their classmates. We also have an amazing curriculum that allows us to present the information differentiated for the students. We have equitable access to programs. We have language support. We have language enrichment camps for the students. And if the parents want to come in, we also offer translation services. Okay?
Related to ESC, currently we have about 25% of our population are ESC students. And we are committed to the principles of inclusivity, accessibility, and equitable treatment. Some of the ways that we will ensure that the students with disability have an equal opportunity of being selected for enrollment are not discriminatory policy, open and transparent enrollment process, no disadvantage due to disability, random selection and lottery, and of course we use the individualized education plans to provide the services that each student needs. And with the individualized education plans, we have the reasonable accommodations in classrooms and testing settings as well, accessibility considerations, ongoing communication with parents, which is very important. Collaboration with advocacy groups. In summary, our commitment to inclusivity and equal opportunity ensures that students with disabilities are afforded the same consideration and access to enrollment as any other student.
Thank you. Now, when we went to the school, we noticed the kids were using dictionaries, and I almost fell out because I haven't seen a dictionary in a long time. But I also noticed that you didn't see a lot of devices, on the tables, and we question, you're not one-to-one. So if you can talk about your technology use at the school.
Oh, what a sensitive subject. Okay, so I've been in education for over 20 years, and I know that the state moved closer and closer to the one-on-one devices, and forget textbooks and turning of pages and these Kindles and all these bad words. COVID taught me that as a principal, there's a lot to be said for turning those pages and having those textbooks. So I limit the amount of technology access that we have. And I know it's not the most common of positions, but it's what I feel is best for the students in the seats in my school, and that's what I'm here to do. I understand that sometimes lawmakers outside of, up in Tallahassee or whatnot, feel that, technology is the best place to go. But especially when you're dealing with your lowest quartile or students that struggle, turning the pages is invaluable, and you can't monitor that on a screen. So with that being said, as a principal, I do abide by a 45-minute maximum twice a week of technology use from their laptop carts, which are housed within their classrooms. They have the carts. I believe Dr. Scott got to see the laptop cart in the room, but not in use at that time, because it is maximized at 45 minutes twice a week. And we'll keep turning those pages.
Thank you. Could you talk about your partnerships you plan to develop within the community and how it complements your mission?
Sure. So part of the idea behind humane sciences is that you really bring in touch. Let me step back. You've heard a lot about character education, right? It's one of those things that it's been said so much that we kind of go, got it. It's a trait a month, wonderful. Now what? Well, now this is the now what. This is putting it into practice. So we've reached out to companies like SeaWorld. We've reached out to local animal shelters. This is hosting adoptions. This is hosting events at elderly facilities. This is involving our local police and especially the Special Victims Unit. Why do we do that? It's because we want to bring in the Special Victims Unit to teach things to our students that are not necessarily in a textbook. And sometimes parents shy away from teaching, and there's things that they need to be aware of. So Johnny needs to know that his friend on the Xbox is not 9 years old and lives down the street and wants to meet up. That's not okay. And so SVU has topics that they will come in and share with the students at an age-appropriate level to engage students, and it helps further the humane sciences. So, and we've also reached out to Advent Hospital and kind of provided some ideas on safety and security when it comes to health. So it's basically involving as many community partners as possible to help teach those things that are maybe not in a textbook. And this day and age, we can't fully rely on just being taught elsewhere.
Thank you. And the last question that we have is that in reading the application, we noticed that the panic alert system that your school currently uses is not one on the state approved, not state approved, state list where they are providing financial assistance for the application, and yours is a little different. And can you explain how your system works?
Sure. Good afternoon. My name is Mari Canetti. I have been an educator forever. Started from the bottom, worked my way up. Not only do I have my bachelor's in education, but as well as my leadership master's in education. I'm an administrator. I work with Broward County Schools, and I'm on the board member for Olympus. So Summit went ahead and they selected ASR. The reason why they selected Summit uses ASR is because it has a component that is able to track the students and the teachers in case of an emergency, where the other devices did not. We have been talking about and looking at schools that have the Motorola SaferWatch option that is very popular in Broward County, but we did get approved by Broward County for the ASR, where, you know, if the device is in charge or the teacher didn't grab their cell phone, they weren't able to. ASR has a component where no matter where they are, admin knows and law enforcement knows where the students and teachers could be hiding or where it is in case of an emergency.
And how does that work?
So there's just a device that they sort of like a panic, that they carry. It's a pen, or it could be the old-fashioned like alarm systems that the teachers have with them, and they can track where they are.
It's actually it's a live pendant, and the teacher actually will receive, they can press it, and anybody who's in the building receives a notification on their cell phone, as well as the local law enforcement agencies. So the local police, the county police are also alerted, and any police officers within the area get the notification on their personal cell phones as well. So it alerts them as well. The reason we decided to go, we actually came out in the news as one of the forefront in the whole Alyssa's alert before Alyssa's law was in effect. Our school is in Lori Aladuff's district, who is the champion of that because she did lose her daughter in the Stoneman Douglas incident. So we wanted to go ahead and make sure we provided the safest level of security. We actually are the closest charter school to Marjorie Stoneman Douglas in Broward County, so you're aware. So our level of security and safety, you can imagine the level of rigor that it has. We were just explored by the state maybe 3-4 weeks ago. They came out just to see our system again and see it in action and see how diversified it is. As a principal, I felt more comfortable giving a staff member a pendant to press rather than relying on a cell phone that may or may not have a battery charged. Or here's the most important part, I don't pay for a teacher's cell phone. So I shouldn't impose something on their personal device, whether it's an application or whatever the case. I shouldn't be able to have to do that. So we decided to actually pay for something as opposed to just taking the money from the state because it was free. We paid for this system, which goes a little bit above and beyond, and that's what we would hope to bring to Orange County if allowable.
Well, we didn't have any other questions about our visit, so if you have any questions, board members, Chair Jacobs?
Yes, the board's kind of lit up. I am first, but a lot of my questions, thank you very much, were already asked and answered. So I'll reserve mine until we hear from board members if there's anything left over on my list. But again, thank you. Great job to our team here. Let's start with our Vice Chair Gallo.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and welcome everyone. So I have a few questions. So you said that buses may not be an issue because of the proximity of where the school will be located in East Orlando, and that you will review that at a later date. Do you have buses down in Coral Springs? Do you utilize buses to transport kids to the charter school?
No, we do not at this time. However, transportation by state statute cannot be a reason to deny a student admission if they're ESE. So if they would require transportation, we would be able to explore that option.
You'd be able to transport the ESE students to the
Correct.
school?
And you would usually be able to engage a contract with a bus company for the same amount of money that's reimbursable by the state for transportation, so therefore it would not be an adverse situation to the budget.
Okay, thank you. And then location, it says East Orange, but you haven't picked a facility yet, and you want to open in August of 2024?
The facility is what was presented in the presentation. It's on Valencia College Lane, I believe.
Okay, so you do have a security.
We had since have found a location that's under review for contract. Yes, it currently has an LOI on it.
Okay, so that's District 2. That's your district. It's a little farther out from my district. And what will be the total capacity? I know you're looking at an enrollment of 502. What would be your permanent capacity?
Within the 5-year period, when we go to 502, we'll see what the needs of the building are. We're comfortable holding a charter at 502. We don't plan, at this time, we don't have no plans to increase the enrollment beyond that if there's not a need for it.
Okay. And so the computer. You mentioned, you talk about like the global community and global as whole. So I have a couple of concerns. Number one is every test K through 8th that a student has to take is computer generated. That's dictated by law. So how do you familiarize or get the students adjusted to being on a computer for those exams? So I have a concern about that, and just about how do you compete globally when we are in a global market that requires digital access and digital communication really as the forefront to how we operate with society?
I mean, I don't believe that so the 45 minutes twice a week with the integration of technology is sufficient for the curriculum piece of it, to where we do things like Skyping with a scientist, and the students are very familiar with the global community because they've talked to scientists on the other side of the world, and they do things with kids from around the world in competitions and whatnot digitally. So I don't think it deters from that. Now, as far as the progress monitoring, I'll hand it over to Ms. Flagg, because progress monitoring is something that does happen continuously through the electronic mediums, but that's not sacrificed at all.
So all of our instructional resources are blended, meaning we do have both physical copies as well as online components. All of the student assessments and either classroom assessments and our state assessments are completed online. So our students do get to have those simulations that they would experience within assessments. In each classroom, there is a smart board which projects all of the instructions. So through monitoring, through guided instruction, our students receive that technology component as well through those areas.
And how many computers do you plan on having in the classroom? Like, how long is it going to take you to test children if there's not a one-to-one device?
Yes, so we have our carts, and it's usually taking us maybe 2 weeks. Because we're K-8, we are basically focusing on ELA 1 week, and then we're focusing on math the next week, trying not to stimulate the kids with piling on testing in 1 week. So we just kind of stretch it out through the course of the 2 weeks. And between the carts that we have on in the building, we're able to get it done with K through 8. STAR and FAST.
So you're spending 2 weeks at the beginning of the school year, 2 weeks middle of the school year, and 2 weeks at the end of the school year. So you're spending 6 weeks on testing. Is instruction happening during those 6 weeks?
So yes, instruction is definitely happening. We have modified daily schedules that we implement.
I'm sorry, let me interject, because I think the assumption is that the whole school is at a standstill for 2 weeks at a time. That's not the case.
Okay.
So what we do, we only test one grade level per day. And so they're testing it's 2 sessions. So they test like Monday and Tuesday of 1 week, and then Monday and Tuesday of the next week, just in the morning session. So it's not over testing the kids. So
Okay.
it doesn't impact, it's not that the whole school's on test mode for 2 weeks or anything of that nature.
That's
No.
what I was trying to understand.
No. Trust me.
Okay.
Testing for us is a bad word. So we try to focus on the curriculum and the learning part of it.
Okay, that makes total sense. Okay, that's all the questions I have for now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Member Castrodeno.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for your presentation. I agree, or I like the idea that you limit the technology, especially when you're teaching younger kids, and we're not teaching technology, we're teaching habits of mind and thinking and critical thinking. You don't need the computers. In fact, that can really kind of stunt their development. So listening to you all, it sounds like you're intimately involved in the school as board members and teachers. What was the motivator to create this school? It's a lot of work for people who already have jobs in the system, so why did you want to put this school together? Whoever wants to answer that. The founding board members or board members?
Anyone else can take it.
I'll start. Number one, we love Orlando. We are very familiar with the area due to the charter annual meetings that are held here. And we are a close team, and Orlando just has that vision where we know we can expand and reach the students just like we do at Broward County, and bring what we're doing at Broward County, bring it here, and help the students grow just overall, not just academically, but all the other services that we provide, and that we have that close-knit family feel in the schools that we can bring here as well.
And I'm not sure how familiar, and this is not to toot their horn because they're in the room, but your charter department's pretty amazing. And you actually, the capacity that the board acts in a charter engagement is as a sponsor. That's the official title that you hold. Unfortunately, so many boards do not understand the definition of sponsor, right? And so with Orange County, even in your processes, how much you actually support the charters, even as something as simple certification, the fact that you assist with credentialing a person for certification and sending support services, that's not seen everywhere. I know maybe it's for you, it's common because it's home, but I've been in applications, or I've written applications for other counties, and trust me, that is not common. So you definitely go above and beyond. Your charter team goes way above and beyond what is seen in most other counties. And so to work with someone that truly is going to be a sponsor and kind of, partner up with the education of these children is a huge motivating factor as well. And just so that this board understands, sometimes charters come for different reasons. We actually had a charter approved here about 5 years ago when we opened Summit. It was 5 years ago. I brought a charter application before you and it was approved. But we didn't find the right setting. We didn't find the right location. We didn't find the population. And so just to say we have a charter school and just to put kids in a building that wasn't suitable, it's not something we felt comfortable doing. So we called Dr. Scott and we said, we'd like to respectfully return the charter to you, which I know most people would not have done, right? They would have just opened however and whenever. That's not what we're into. We definitely wanted to partner with Orange. We were just waiting for the right moment, and it's finally arrived.
No, you can, but is it a quick follow-up? Okay. Wait. Oh, you know what? We did decide that. Yes. I'm sorry, but you were done. I was done. Yeah, okay. Yes, you can
Okay.
follow up. Thank you, Vice Chair. She is like, is she?
She does her job really well.
Good at her job. Later today is the reorganization meeting. She's on her best game. Go ahead.
All right, well, thank you. I appreciate the compliments for our awesome charter department. I know they work really hard and they're very diligent, and they have their microscopes and magnifying glass out there really looking at details. But I still don't quite understand what made you start the charter in Broward. Like, what was missing in Broward that you decided you needed to? Is it in Miami or is it Broward?
It's in Broward.
Broward.
A charter school that was by teachers for teachers. That's what was missing. Charters are often run by someone sitting in an office in a very luxury, comfy office somewhere who hasn't been in a classroom in a really, really long time, if they even ever have. And so when they get something that's handed down from the state, they, put it into social studies. The teacher can do it, and the teacher can do this, and they can do this, but they haven't been in the trenches. So all of us who sit before you have teaching certificates. All of us are certified by the FLDOE in multiple areas. If you look up any of our certificates, there's a long list of certifications, and we're in the trenches with the teachers. As a principal, I go in and I model lessons for them, and I jump in there and we advocate for them. So even Broward, it's a little different. The county doesn't offer as many benefits. So we go out and we pay 100% of their health insurance. We go out and our compensation plan rewards them a little bit higher than the district level. So we want to reinforce what teachers went to school for. If you look at our turnover for teachers as a profession, it's very large, because they go in thinking one thing and the excitement, and then all of a sudden you're slammed with 92 tests and progress monitoring, and you're supposed to be on page 11 at paragraph 3 when the principal walks in at 11 a.m. You lose the passion immediately. So our mission behind this was truly like, we all got together and we said, let's do this by teachers for teachers, and you'll see the effects, and you have.
I love it. Did they prep you?
No, I wish, right?
I was a teacher too, so I often think about what policies we're implementing up here and how they're going to be affected and actually carried out in the classroom. So, and I appreciate that you're nationally board certified. I know that that's another whole other element that when I was teaching, it was, I couldn't find the time to do it. And I know that it's quite a feather in your cap, so I appreciate that level. The curriculum, who develops the curriculum? Is it teacher developed? Do you use certain companies? Where do you get the curriculum that you teach?
The curriculum that we currently use is state approved. SAVIS is the complete umbrella, but we use a lot of their products. Broward County just recently adopted their math program. We opened with the math program the first year. That we attribute a lot of our success to the rigor of the curriculum that we utilize. So for ELA, math, science, social studies, we're utilizing research-based material that has been proven to be very successful for our students. And like I said, we started out opening up our Broward County location with those materials. The district, a couple of years after, decided to review the materials and adopt it district-wide. But we were fortunate enough to kind of start out with it so that when they were going through the kinks of learning new material, we were in our second and third year of utilizing the resources. And again, like I said, it's proven to ensure that our students are receiving curriculum on a very rigorous level.
I'd just like to add that I was in Broward County Schools for 30 years. And I transferred, after I retired, I came to charter. And the curriculum is one of the things that stuck out the most to me. I used to hear all my colleagues saying, like, go math, this is too hard, our kids can't do this. And then I came and I saw the curriculum at Summit, and it was a lot more intensive, but they were doing it. And I think when we got our A grade, that to me, people would say, what do you think was the one thing, if you had to pick one thing? And I said, it's the curriculum.
Okay. I'll let other people talk, but I have more questions.
All right. Thank you, Member Castellano. Member Byrd.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your presentation. It was a great presentation. I love the virtual tour as well. How long has just refresh for me, how long has your Broward School been open? How many years?
We're in a 5th year of operation.
5th year, okay. And you mentioned the teacher turnover, which is one of the questions I had. So you don't have a lot of turnover. You have
We do not.
your teachers, most of your teachers, or what is your rate? Or have all your teachers stayed, or how has that been for you?
So on an average year, we may have anywhere between 1 and 3 teachers turnover, but we're talking about staff members turnover, and you're talking about a staff of about 40.
Okay.
So it's pretty, and this board as a whole has been together, many of us have been together for over a decade. Mm-hmm. So we travel far distances to work with each other. Once you have something really, really great, you do what it takes.
And during that same time period, how has your retention of students been? Do you find that your families, when they come to your school, they stay at your school, or?
We've never done a commercial ever. We've never marketed, believe it or not, in Broward County. Our parents are our marketing. So we started our first year with 170 students, and we're about 475 right now. And we've never had to do a single token of marketing because we've kept our parents, and they've referred their friends and their neighbors and their dog walkers, and everyone's there now. So it's a great community built environment.
Good. And one of the things you talked about in the video was that there was a need for excellent K-8 schools in Broward at the time. We do have some excellent K-8 schools here in Orange County that are highly sought after for families. So does that, you don't have any concern about that we have good K-8 schools here?
We have amazing K-8 schools there as well. It's just a matter of what you're offering to the student population in the area that you're servicing. We do believe, it's a difficult statement, but we do believe that in the area that we're looking to move into, we would be able to improve school grades in the area, and we would be able to provide parents with earlier notification of learning issues with the students. And I think if you focus in early on, you get better results. The area that we're looking into harbors more than one charter school that has a grade of a C. And identifying the student population, although it is primarily Hispanic, there's about 67% Hispanics in the area. That's not an excuse to underperform in a particular area. That means that there's something that you're doing that's not getting to every student. I can probably tell you what that is, because based on the data that we've observed in the area, there's these formulas that go around of the highest tested areas. And so some of these charter schools or some of the schools focus on the highest tested standards. And, this is only going to have 1 or 2 questions. We're not going to do these. That's wrong. Teach these students, forget the test, and teach. If you teach across the board, you will get the results across the board. So while I understand that there's great schools everywhere. And that's the idea behind school choice, is just giving them an option of another great school.
Good answer.
Thank you.
And then I think my last question is just, you all are board members at the Broward School. You're going to be the board members of this school as well, or are you going to get other board members? How is that going to work?
So some of the board members will transition. The board is going to be between 5 and 7 members, as dictated by the application. Some will go ahead and transfer as founding board members to the governing board members. A few of us will step off. Well, I'm not on the board, but Ms. Johnson will step off. She was actually also moving to Orlando. She will be an employee of the school once her due diligence period passes. So there's definitely going to be a change, and we do want to bring on board 2 local members, which we always put 1 parent to sit on our boards as well, to bring the parent advocate part to it. But there is going to be local representation on the board at that time.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Byrd. I said I was going to wait, but I'm going to jump in. It's just driving me nuts. Just a couple of quick questions. And sir, what was your name again?
Gus Pratz.
Gus, and I'm sorry, last name?
Pratz, P-R-A-T-S.
You're the principal now,
I am.
and you are moving up here if you get this approved.
I am.
Okay, you're going to love it here, if it gets approved, of course. Two questions, and then I'll try to save the rest until the rest of the board members have had a chance to answer a question. We have a relatively large, I say relatively large, student population that identifies as LGBTQ+, and I suspect that is the same in Broward. I grew up in South Florida, so I still have a lot of family. I know a fair amount, and there's a lot of similarities. How do you support that student population, and what is your practice regarding pronouns?
Wow. Very charged question. So I'll start off by saying we will have to abide by all state policies, and we will abide by them. We'll leave politics aside. We will abide by all state policies, and whether or not pronouns are used, we do understand that if a child wants to identify by a certain name, the parent has to be notified. So there's all sorts of new nuances to that policy, and even the answer I give today will evolve because it's constantly changing. So we will also, at the time of opening and throughout the policy, we'll make sure that our staff is properly trained to make sure that we're enforcing whatever the state-approved law is at that time, and what can and cannot be said, and what grade levels can and cannot be addressed.
So let me ask this. Where you are right now in Broward as Summit, if a parent sends in a form authorizing and requesting that you use the pronoun that the student identifies with, even though it is not the gender that they were born with, assigned at birth, do you honor that right now where you are in Broward?
We do.
Okay, thank you. Broader question. You all obviously are passionate about education. You wouldn't have spent this much of your life, and you wouldn't be doing this. What we do as the 8th largest district impacts 207,000 students. You're going to impact 500. From everything you say, what you're doing is working very well. And this is not to discourage what you're doing, but what about what you're doing can't be replicated across a district the size of Orange County? Because I would think, as passionate as you are about students, if you could do what you're doing for 200,000 students, I would think you would do that in a heartbeat. So what is it that you think that's working for your charter that couldn't be done, that why you wouldn't be a superintendent of a larger district doing it countywide?
Wow. Okay. Well, it's not a matter of what we're doing that can't be done. It just hasn't.
Okay.
The ability is there.
So to answer that question, you believe it is possible. It's just not being done.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Let me go to, I may or may not agree with you, but I did want to hear your answer. So I thank you very much. Let me go to Member Gould.
Thank you for your presentation, and thank you for the open and frank conversation, because we all are here for the same end purpose, right? To help every single child into a successful and prosperous life. So how do people apply to your school? I heard that it was very organic down south. How does that work, and do you have a waiting list down there, and how do you handle that?
Yes, we do currently have a wait list because we don't believe in opening the floodgates. Some schools come into a community and just say, what's our capacity? Fill the building. That's not, right. You can't build a school culture if you just open the floodgates. So we do have a wait list because we do grow slow and steady. The lottery process, basically parents come into the school, they apply. There is a checklist that they have to meet, which includes the proof of address, the proof of age, all the state requirements that are in there. And then we do conduct 3 lotteries. throughout the year. Our enrollment usually starts for re-enrollment in December. New enrollment starts in January, I'm sorry. And then we conduct 3 lotteries. They are public, so parents can choose to see how it operates or how it doesn't. Here's the big, you asked me for honesty, here's the honest. We don't cherry pick the kids.
Yeah.
That's part of our success. If you look at our enrollment, it's completely diversified. We have ESE population with all sorts of needs, but that's the idea. We do not ask a parent to submit, for example, an IEP. Some charter schools in the district currently do. That's not acceptable according to state statute, because they would be able to cherry pick the kids. It's not what it's about. According to FAPE and IDEA, every student has the right to education. So we don't discriminate on any basis. So you apply as if you are any other student. You do have the home language survey as part of the registration packet for the ESOL students as mandated, but it's a lottery-based system, and it's worked for us.
Going on to your teachers, you were talking about all teachers are nationally board certified, or what's the makeup of your teachers?
All of our teachers are certified by the state, and then most of them, about over 80% of them, hold advanced degrees or secondary areas of certification.
And what's your retention?
For teachers, we only lose about between 1 and 3 staff members every summer.
And I forgot from the application, how many staff do you have?
About 40.
Okay. You talked about 100% health care for your teachers. Is that the teacher only, or does that include family?
Teacher only.
Okay. Another question, on your, particularly on your 6 to 8, how do you bring in a little bit more experiential and exposure to workforce and CTE and have connectivity to industry?
So one of my roles as a school counselor has to do with career development. So apart from classes, actually within the schedule, like for example, this year we have business, we have career research classes offered to the students. We do different activities during the school year. Part of that career class includes the students, getting to know the different certifications that they can achieve, getting to know the requirements for graduation in high school, creating a plan for graduation. That's part of the career class requirement. So, and we do different activities during the year to bring the students closer to the work of life. I mean, the work. The world of work, I wanted to say, the world of work, right? Getting to know what are the skills that they need when they are closer to that opportunity in their life.
So would you say that based on your curriculum, you're driving all kids towards college, or are they truly getting exposed to all career types?
They are getting to know, because part of the curriculum is that they know what is available for them, but it's also getting to know themselves. We actually do self-inventory, so they know their interests, what are their skills, what are things that they might like. And
when do you do that?
As part of the class, part of the curriculum.
So
yes.
6th grade, 5th grade, okay.
7th grade.
Yeah, 6th and 7th grade. Okay, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
And actually, your staff got to see our business class when they were there. They got to pop into that class as one of the selected classes they walked into. And you see real world skills going on that aren't addressed in standard textbooks. Right. And they got to see it. Even our school's very comfortable in flexible seating and things that you don't usually see at some of the schools nowadays. But they got to see that real world examples and real world career certifications and tips in action.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Member Gould. Member Ferrant.
Thank you. And I appreciate everything that you guys have done. Your presentation was very, very nice to hear everything that you're talking about. Sounds amazing. I love what you guys have done in Broward. Just the numbers, what you've brought for the students. And I think all of us are here because we just want kids to get an exceptional education, no matter where they're from or who they are or what family life is like. And so I appreciate it. I think it's amazing. Many of the questions I had have already been asked, but I did want to just touch on a few things. You said no homework, so I'd love to hear about that. So is there no homework at all through the week, or is it just no homework on the weekends?
So what we do is no excessive homework Monday through Thursday.
No excessive homework, that was it.
We put that word in there, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's just, we tell the parents even during the open houses that during this age group that we're tailoring to here, you can still have them sit down with you at dinner. There's going to come a moment when they no longer want to sit at dinner, and then they're out from home. So that time at home should also be respected from the school's perspective. So whatever we can achieve in an 8-hour day doesn't mean you send it home. That's not the point. Family is just as important as the school day. So we limit the amount of homework that does go home, and what we absolutely do not do is projects sent home. Why? Because mom and dad already went to school and they already got their A's. So I don't want to see them in their fuzzy slippers at Walmart at 3 a.m. the day before buying the poster board, because that's when you found out about it, right? We've all seen it. So no projects sent home, and then minimal amount of homework.
Okay. I love it. I think that's amazing. Just guarding that family time is really key. Another question was with I love hearing about the security devices that you've purchased for your staff. I think that's incredible. I know all of us are really on high alert, and safety and security of our kids is one of the top priorities. I know everybody, this is my first time doing all this with the charters and whatnot, but so will you have an SRO, like an officer on campus, or is it a guardian, or how will you work that?
We currently have a guardian on staff in Broward. We prefer the guardian model, but because it allows you an extra layer of backup contracts or backup in case that officer were not to be available. So right now over there we have a guardian that's fully staffed full-time by the school. They're an employee of the school, not an employee of an agency. That's also a big difference. I don't want to subscribe to an agency who has guardians. No, I want to employ a guardian full-time, and that way as a second layer would be our local municipality if they're available. Otherwise the county would step in.
Okay, wonderful. And you'll do the same here?
Correct.
Okay, very cool. Are you able to just touch one more time on the humane science part of it? I know, to me, when we're talking about helping kids understand the real world and what their options are, I think this is incredible, just how you're bringing in the outside SeaWorld you had mentioned, the veterinary hospitals, Advent. How does that look in a school setting? Are you doing that for all grades, or how would that look, for instance, in a kindergarten class versus maybe an 8th grade class? Just a brief.
So I'll just give you a brief example. For example, the pet adoptions, right? So we hold pet adoptions at, I know it sounds silly, but it's a big thing. And these little kindergartners will design little placards for the little cages with their dog and the name and the possible age and the picture of the dog. And they get really invested in it. So when they get adopted, they get to, ring the bells and this and that. And that to them is just, instead of just saying, our trait this week is empathy or compassion. Kindergartner, how do you understand empathy? How do you understand compassion? You've got to materialize it for them. So when they're making these little placards, or making, like, we just got done making our holiday cards for those grandparents who don't have someone who comes and visits them where they live. So all our kindergartners are drawing their little cards, and they get really into it. And so they end up being actually pen pals with some of the elderly at the facilities, because they kind of go back and forth as they grow up. And a couple years ago, we had one grandparent who a kindergartner had started to write to her in kindergarten, and this year there is their graduation from 5th grade, and that grandparent went from the home, found a transport, and showed up.
Wow.
So that had been kind of her go-to. So kindergarten is a really great age to start teaching these things. You don't have to wait till they're older.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you so much. And really, from what I've heard from each of you, your heart is in the right place. You're excited about helping our kids learn and get an awesome education. And while the majority up here we're all about the public schools and getting our kids in public schools, I'm also a huge advocate for school choice, because I know not every family has, not every child works well in maybe a very large school. They might need a smaller school or a smaller setting, or maybe homeschooling is it, or whatever is best for that child. So I want to thank you for stepping up for our kids and for presenting here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Front. Member Felder.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon. First of all, I want to thank you for your dedication and contributions to public education. It does my heart good. I'm a teacher. I've been a teacher for almost 40 years. And to have you state that you are teachers, and one of my colleagues asked about what fostered you to want to start the school, and you, someone in your own ways, reiterated the fact because you were teachers, you saw the need and you knew what was lacking, and this is what you wanted to do. Many of us in my early years, we would talk about, if I could have my own school, what I would do. Every day. Yeah, we do. So you are living that out. Yeah, you're living the dream. So 3 things, and I may have to come back, but I just want you to, these are the things on my mind. Number one, you don't have to answer right now. Let me give you 3 things. How do you handle discipline? Living where we are in the world that we're living in. The discipline, because it sounds so perfect. Number 2, what is not working? What have you found difficulty in doing? As you carry out this vision of this very wonderful school, what is not working? What are you struggling with? Because that's real. And number 3, how do you handle, you said curriculum. I love curriculum. I wanted to get a master's in curriculum development. I got it in something else. How do you handle the teaching of factual history that occurred in America and in Florida? How do you handle that in bringing and speaking truth to power in your school? So you can decide whichever one you want to talk about. Our time may run out if it does, but those are the 3 things that were on my mind. And just in passing, what do some of the teachers say about your school, and what do the students say about your school? Anybody can go.
I'll start with the behavior question. I believe that the culture that we've established at the school has attributed to our behavior incidents. I say that to say that, for instance, how our guardian is a staff member. He knows all the students. All the students know him, right? It's a good morning, how are you, a check-in from some staff member on that campus before a student hits 2 doors, they're greeted by an adult. We're conscious about asking them how their day was. We're familiar with the family. We have a feeder pattern at our school, so a lot of our students start out in our elementary section and grow into our middle school section, which is where we have the behaviors. I won't lie, our behaviors mostly come from our middle school students because they're older and they're feeling themselves. So that's where we get a lot of different colorful behaviors, but again, that community and culture that we've built in the school with the parents and the community, that does assist with that often. You asked what things are we struggling in?
Just before you went beyond the discipline plan also, we let the students know, we let the parents know from the open houses that there's certain things that have been lost due to our generation so we're bringing them back, and we're not for everyone. It's a school of choice, right? So we say good morning, we say good afternoon, we say please, we say thank you. We're not boys and girls, we're ladies and gentlemen, to the point where the gentlemen hold the door open for the ladies. I know it's antiquated. The lady can say no thank you if they choose to, but it's bringing back some of those elements that have been lost over time, and it's our fault, because my grandmother would have slapped me upside the head if I would not have held that door open for her, right? So it's things that have been lost over time. Common courtesy, those things have been lost, we're bringing them back.
Just one, and so your percentage of suspensions or expulsions, does that occur?
We do have suspension. We do not have the right to expel as a charter school in Broward County. It has to go to the superintendent. It has to follow protocol. We've never had that incident. Our level of discipline is pretty minimal. I'd say our biggest issues are maybe the biggest problem we've had last year, for example, was like a fight. That's it. Because everything is earned at our school, field trips, rewards, there's ice cream trucks that bring ice cream to the kids who are students of the week. And so it's a positive behavior system. And for a lot of the grades, maybe not so much the middle school because it's a little bit different dynamic, but the little ones, if you tell Johnny, stop, Johnny, behave, Johnny, pay attention, Johnny's not going to correct himself. And now you're bothering every other student and impeding their learning process. If you do positive reinforcement, where now everyone around Johnny is getting a reward, Johnny's going to auto-correct himself. And so our positive behavior plan usually works favorably in molding behaviors at the younger ages. And then as they grow old, they earn things. And we tell the parents, we don't have to take the children on a field trip. We don't have to do this or have to do that. It's earned. And so their behavior earns the right to go on a field. Their behavior earns the right to participate in the school dance. Just because mom pays $5 for a school dance or this, that doesn't get you to go. What have you done? This is your job. And they understand school is their responsibility. And so what do they do to positively impact their ability to function at the school?
All right, the second.
You asked what is not working or where are some areas where we
difficulty
find a bit of difficulty. I would say a lot of the changes, a lot of the different policies, just being able to ensure that we are providing instruction appropriately to the different policies. To kind of piggyback on your last question,
about the history.
Correct. I think one thing that we have been focusing on right now is just being able to support our staff so that they don't feel overwhelmed or scared or nervous to say and teach certain things. And so just ensuring that we, as board members and leaders in the school, that we are familiar and abreast of the new policy so that we can support our teachers in not feeling those overwhelmed icks about, those different categories while ensuring that we provide quality instruction, right? So I would say, for the most part, that's the area where we are constantly trying to develop different routines in the school to ensure that our teachers feel supported. Because oftentimes when new things come around, they're just getting their footing with progress monitoring. They're just now getting their footing on how to best utilize that data to guide their instruction daily. So now we're bringing in some different changes in policies. We want to ensure that we're able to support them so that they're not feeling overwhelmed.
All right, thank you. And you have a percentage of graduation. How is that? Going into college or vocations?
We currently service K to 8.
Okay, good. Okay. Well, you answered my questions. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Felder. Member Salamanca.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for being here and just answering all of our questions. We do appreciate it. Can we talk a little bit about teacher compensation and salary philosophy, kind of how those decisions get made, how you all believe. Obviously, this is something that in education is always a struggle, and we all want great teachers, but we also have limited budget. So just curious on what that compensation philosophy has been previously and how you're thinking about it here.
So the compensation plan is actually developed and then voted on by the board annually. And so the ideology behind it is to try to reward teachers as much as possible. And so what we do is we do abide by the pay scale, but then teachers are able to pick up, for example, incentives through additional work. So some of them will run a club and they'll receive an incentive for the club. For after school tutoring, they're able to get money for after school tutoring, Saturday camps. So teachers have the ability to increase their financial gain, but in exchange for providing additional services that benefits the students in those seats. So that's the ideology behind it, is to make, as opposed to paying for services outside of the school setting, is to put that back into your teachers and cultivate your teachers. And if we got to send them to professional developments, or if you have to groom it from within, that's what the message you want to send, is that the talent is here. We're going to groom it and we're going to compensate you for it. And I think that if a teacher feels that they're valued, no one went into this profession for the money. No one did.
I get that.
No one
They
did.
just want to feel appreciated. And I guess in terms of you mentioned a lot of your teachers have advanced degrees or they've been teaching for a while. So when you think about retention of those folks that are highly educated and doing this because they love it, but obviously, how do you think about that? So it sounds like you have some incentives for the more involved and they give back. Is the other stuff for certification or for advanced degrees that you're thinking
They
about?
receive additional stipends for advanced degrees, and they also receive stipends for additional certification areas, as well as time served.
Got it. Helpful. And then earlier today, to use your own words, you're talking about we were trying to find the right setting, location, and community to come here to Orlando. So seems like you're in District 2. So this is where your dreams come true. Welcome.
Thank you.
I wanted to get a sense about just your thoughts on why this location, why this community. It sounds like you've talked to a lot of parents, community members, kind of understood some of the needs. I represent these folks as well, so I would love to hear from you what you're hearing. I'm always very curious what parents are saying, including about our own schools and what they see are needs that are not being met.
So in part of our focus, it's in focus groups, it's been a question of the number one thing that we heard is that we found out too late. I wish I would have known earlier. So when it comes to where their students are maybe struggling. So that was one of the areas that we constantly heard, was where they were notified too late in the year, or I wish I would have known. And when they were given the instructions of your child's struggling, it was, oh, here's a PMP letter that says your child's struggling in reading. And the parents said, well, I'm not a teacher. So when you tell me my child struggles in reading, what do I do? Start from ABC's sight words? Do I Google this? So it's really hard for them. So when we break it down into phonics, phonemic awareness, comprehension, informational text, and we give them exactly prescriptive instruction and prescriptive details on their education, that's what they're looking for, because that they can help with. So I think they want to just be able to assist their children in the areas and just notified early on. I think that was one of the big things. They also felt that testing was a bad word. That's where I got that line from. It was from a parent in the local area, because every time they spoke to the teacher, it was, well, on this assessment, this test, and they have a test coming, and it was testing and testing and testing and testing. And so parents feel that the kids may be a little bit overwhelmed with that. Our testing structure is a little different, just so you guys have an idea. For example, last year's it was the theme was Mission Possible. So all of a sudden you would hear dun 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 all over the loudspeakers, and we would go and throw cue cards under the doors with like math problems or something they had to solve in the first class to solve it that day, bring it back to the office. They would capture the villain that day. So when they get to the test, they want to prove their knowledge. It's not that the state's going to get you, or if you don't pass. We don't use those terminology. This is the time. This is we're going to show them how much we know, and we're going to get them. And so they come in with that mentality. And I think when we describe that to the parents, that was also very different than what maybe they were used to.
Really good. Thank you. I appreciate that. And it resonates with what I hear from parents sometimes on, I found out my kid was struggling too late, and I didn't have guidance on that as well. So thank you for for spending time with our parents as well. I guess from the board's perspective, from the principal's perspective, obviously you're doing this for the love of education, and as some of the board members said, you're living the dream of doing it the way you want to do it. What are some of those kind of absolutes, non-negotiables for you as you think about running the school, right? When you think about the magic that works, is it class size? Is it curriculum?
Safety and security.
Mhm.
That's number one. That goes above all else. That I tell parents during the open house, my job is not to please you as a parent. It's to keep your kids safe. And second is to have them learn while they're in the building. I'm one of the few principals that I love that we're in a school, but that happened organically. I don't think that should be the mission. I think the mission is to teach the kids. As long as the students in those seats are learning, you've met your goal.
Yes.
So.
Got it. And the average class size says you have 40 teachers, is around 12, 15 students?
Well, it's all the staff members. So our classes run right around class size, which is about 18.
18. Got it. And last question is around policy implementation process. So, we do this as well. We have a massive district. You talk about this as an area that is difficult. That resonates with us. We're always responding to all the changes in policy. What is that process for y'all on new policy comes down, needs to go into effect X date? What's the role of the board? What's the role of the principal? All of that.
I mean, we work hand in hand. The board and the principal work hand in hand to figure out how we're going to execute this policy, and then it trickles down. Like I mentioned before, we do empower our teachers. So we have lead teachers, we have curriculum specialists, we have people who are in charge of bringing down this information. And we also discuss any new policies right after our CPST meetings, the collaborative problem solving team. So when we discuss the students and kind of their data, then we go into, okay, these are the changes we need to make. This is how we're going to do it. So it's done in a small group and then eventually done in whole group.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Those are all my questions.
Thank you, Member Salamanca. Do your mics work better than these? They are so hard to turn on and off. And at the same time, while I tell you to speak directly into them, if I'm not speaking directly into them and I so much as sigh, it seems to come across. And my husband will say, "Stop sighing," so when I get home. So anyway, good luck on the microphones. I don't think it's a Orange County problem. I think it's just me. Let me go to Vice Chair Gallo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a few more questions. You mentioned, I think earlier, I thought I heard you say an 8-hour day. What is the start and end time of your school?
It's roughly 7.5 hours for the students. The students start at either 8 or 8:30 and finish their day at 2 or 3.
Okay.
So we do staggered arrivals and staggered dismissals for the purposes of traffic.
Oh.
That way you get no issues with traffic or stacking.
Oh, so different grades come at different times?
Yep.
Okay, that's fabulous. The guardian, you said it's a staff member. Is it a teacher or is it just a permanent staff member?
No, it's a permanent staff member who's been trained by the Broward Sheriff's Office down there. Okay. It's my understanding, I'm not sure if Orange County is currently training guardians, but if they are, then we would ask them to go through that process.
Okay. And then I have a very important question. Do you have recess for K through 5?
I know.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Is it 20 minutes?
It's actually 30 minutes.
I saved it for you.
Oh, you did? Thank you.
I know she'll take care of recess.
Yes. And then do you have a 401k or is it pension? What do you do for the teachers for retirement?
So it's after a year of employment, they're eligible for contributions into either 401k or a 403b.
Awesome. Well, I have to say that you had me at by teachers for teachers. I could have stopped you there and not said another word as soon as I heard that because I think that's fabulous. I look forward to visiting your facility. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Member Byrd.
Thank you. I just have one more question. Your 8th graders, where do you find that they typically go? Do they go to the local public schools? after they're done?
For the most part, they do. Some of them will look for a specific magnet program or something that suits, something that's in their career readiness path that they choose to. But for the most part, they do seamlessly integrate to their public school.
Okay, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Byrd. Member Casterdental.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a couple questions left. One is, how do you manage or structure teachers' planning time?
So that's the number one thing we do over the summer, is to make sure that they're able to plan at the same time, to be able to kind of debate whether it's lesson plans or what's working or what's not working, and sharing best practices. But we also do this old school thing that's called also vertically planning, to where first grade is also talking to kindergarten and talking to second, to find out what deficiencies they're coming in with and what deficiencies they're going out with, so they can kind of continuously improve their model. So our schools, they horizontally plan on the daily, and then they vertically plan on the weekly.
To clarify, do you mean like the teachers who teach fourth grade meet every day?
Correct. They have planning at the same exact time.
And how long is their planning period?
30 minutes.
Okay, and what about other faculty meetings?
We have faculty meetings once a month, and then they also have committee meetings. So like third, fourth, and fifth will meet every other week. K1 and 2 will meet every other week, and then they meet by adjacent grade level. So they'll teacher who teaches the advanced kids will meet with the grade level above and the grade level below, at least weekly, just to make sure that, hey, I have the kids that you had last year, I find them deficient in this area. What did you do that worked? What did you do that didn't work? Because I think that conversation vertically is also important.
Okay, thank you. And my last question is about the environmental consciousness that you teach. What does that look like?
We've done all sorts of hands-on activities, whether it's beach cleanups, it's the recycling program, it's the gardening club. There's also something called Invention Convention that we do, which is where they have to, our middle schoolers basically focus on that, and 5th through 8th grade, they have to take a product or a service that exists now and make it better for the environment, and then produce it. And then there's a whole Invention Convention fair that they come out and they explain it to the parents and how it's better for the environment. And it's a really cool experience. It's a little bit different take on the regular science fair, but just a little bit more globally inclined.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate all your answers and devoting so much time to our questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Casterdental. Two last questions. Do you do teacher satisfaction surveys?
We do. We have teachers, students, parents, and stakeholders.
Okay. I was going to say, is that something you would share with us? It's a public record, so I'm sure you would. But if you wouldn't mind, I think we're going to make a decision here in a minute, but I would like to see that data, and I'm sure other board members would as well. One other question for you. So transportation for your general ed students, what percentage of your students at Summit are within the 2-mile walking distance? Do you know?
Percentage-wise, I don't have the percentage of who's within the 2-mile radius. We offered buses within a 3 and 5 mile radius.
You do,
and no one accepted it. No one had a need for a bus.
Okay.
So our initial year we offered it, and then after that COVID hit, then we put surveys. We put annual surveys out for bus needs, just because the bus companies would need that information for bus routes regardless. So we kind of put it out preemptively. And so far it's never been a need for Summit in Broward.
Okay.
I know that most of the area schools that are adjacent to this campus that we're looking at also do not bus.
Okay.
There's a high percentage of walkers. And as we've kind of scouted the area and during arrivals and dismissals, there is a very, very large population of walkers.
Okay. In terms of parental participation, are there any requirements or expectations of parental participation?
No, there's not. The reason for this is the following. Most charter schools will tell parents they have to participate a minimum of X amount of hours per year. That's assuming the parent has the ability and the time to do this. And some parents in the area that we're going into work multiple jobs. So that assumption is extremely contrary to what our mission and vision would demonstrate. And furthermore, there's some charter schools that say you can buy down your hours at the end of the year, which actually is directly against state statute.
Well, thank you. And that's exactly the reason I ask. A number of charter schools compare themselves to private schools, but they don't, to public schools and to traditional schools, and they're really not apples to apples, because the moment you have a family who has a parent or a guardian or a member that has the ability and the desire to be engaged in the child's education, that child already has an advantage. And so does that classroom having that child in there. And so I know what we can and can't consider in making our decisions. And I do want to clarify this because I think, Member Ferrant, you might have a misunderstanding about this board based on your comment. But this board has supported every charter application that's come to us. We did have one charter renewal that we found was not in compliance with state statute, and we postponed a decision until they came into compliance. But that's been the board's record on support of charter schools. But I have always kind of questioned when the data comes out, how much of that data is different because of the makeup of the student population, because of the ability of parents to be able to transport their children, which is why I asked the question. Very much appreciate your answer and the alignment that I see between your culture and philosophy and this board's and this district's. So I think that was my last question. Let me go back to our vice chair, back to Member Castrodental, and we're about to let you out of here.
It's freezing in here, so I'm sure y'all are ready to go. Do you have an after-school program?
We do. It runs until 6 p.m.
It does. Do you do that internally, or do you contract out?
We do it internally.
That's fabulous. Okay. Well, thank you again. Thank you all for coming down, and thank you for this wonderful presentation. It was really impressive. Thank you.
And Member Castrodental.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm sorry, I have one more question. Who handles the financial and compliance aspect? Because this is not necessarily something that they teach us in how to be a teacher.
So we contract with a couple different agencies, Building Hope, who does charter school back office statewide. They're the most recognized agency that does this, so they do all of back office. And so we have a no cash policy, and every single transaction has to be approved by the board president as well as the principal. And then that back office handles the financial parts of it and keeping us in compliance to updating monthly financials and things of that nature. And then we also contract with an agency called Verdeja de Armas, who is their auditors, and they do our annual audits, but then they also keep us in compliance with monthly audits that they provide the board to make sure that we catch anything early on.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Dr. Moody.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members, superintendents. We appreciate the dialogue. This is a practice that this board has decided to do when charter applications come before you, a work session. I think we're able to gain some valuable insight and ask some tough questions. I got to say the questions that were asked this afternoon were some of the best. Thank you. Great dialogue. I'd like to thank the charter staff behind me for their work in reviewing every application. There was a second application that had dropped out due to some work that needed to be done, thanks to this staff behind me. So I wanted to publicly thank them and thank the principal and the board that sits before you today. Thank you for your work and what you do for kids. Madam Chair, we'll have a resolution, I think it's in December 12th, if I believe, for board action related to this charter application.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll reach out to your assistants to see if there's any follow-up questions that you might have.
Thank you.
With my staff.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
As you have said, we have a great team here over school choice. the board does take this responsibility extremely seriously, notwithstanding the comment that I made about our approval rating. It's because of the wonderful work that our team does in vetting ahead of time and making sure that our charter applicants understand what's expected. And that's the reason, I don't know if everybody does this, but that's the reason it is really important to us, because when we sponsor you and give you the opportunity to take the responsibility for our public school students or any students, that's a huge, huge responsibility. And for us, it's a huge responsibility. So look forward to having that resolution come back to us. Vote hasn't been made, but I'm really excited about it, and looking forward to welcoming those of you who choose to move to the greatest city in the town, in the country, and the greatest county. City's only second best to the county, but anyway, I'm a little biased. But again, we appreciate this. Has been really, I think it's been the best experience we've had with dialogue. So thank you. With that, I'm going to adjourn this meeting because we have another meeting starting in 19 minutes. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.